Rhino, but I've got a studio full, an entire family who's already rocking the children's book world. In fact, I love your tag on your website, MeKael, that says children's books for the whole family, because I think that's exactly what you have done. But if you are watching us online, you'll see that I have a whole family with me. MeKael Black brought them all. She brought her daughter, Asia. She brought her son, Atal, and her husband, Dorian, who's all joining us here. You may recognize Dad and Mom from their time with Steve Harvey and their whole family here. But I totally forgot that whenever I got you here to share your story the first time, because you were rocking and rolling, MeKael, as your own standalone as a children's book author. So welcome everybody back.
Thank you for having us.
All right, I'm going to get you to move that mic, or you to the mic, just a little bit closer. Okay, so this is a great story. I want to start from the beginning for those who may not have heard how at 4 o'clock in the morning you woke out of a dead sleep and had an idea in your head for a children's book. So set the stage for us. How did this all get going?
All right, it was a early Saturday morning, and my daughter, she was having some issues with her nose. And my husband went to go check on her. We both woke up. He went to check on her. She went back to sleep. He went back to sleep, but I couldn't go back to sleep. So I'm praying. I'm talking to God, like, I'm ready to go back to sleep. I get to sleep in. It's Saturday morning, and I'm just up. And I couldn't go back to sleep. I pulled out my phone. I'm reading scripture. Still couldn't go back to sleep. So finally, I just lay in the bed, and these words started coming to me. As soon as the sun says good morning, I'm like, what? So I grabbed my phone back and started typing everything I heard. And when the kids woke up and my husband woke up, it was daylight. I had wrote out 3 stories. And so I read it to them, and it was like, you need to make this into a book. And I was like, are you sure? It was like, yes, make it into a book. And so I just hit the ground running with it.
You hit the ground running with it, which is kind of a really condensed version of what will actually kind of happen very fast over the next couple of months. Because when did you have the dream? What month was that?
This was in October.
Of last year.
Right, of 2020.
So we're not even at a year yet.
Right, not even a year.
And you've now published your second one, too. Okay, but let's go back to the name of your first book. Where did the inspiration for that come from?
It came from my son, Asa. His real name is Asa, but his friends call him Atal. And so the story, as I was reading the story, even though the words, I don't believe just came from me, but they were... When I read, I was like, this is exactly like my son, Asa. He loves to play. He loves to rap. He and his dad will rap about anything around the house. If you stump your toe, they'll make up a rap about it. So it was all inspired by his life. You know, he just loves to have fun. He likes to play. He does his schoolwork. He gets his academics. He made A's and B's in school. So it's just a fun book for any kid to read, enjoy, and have fun with it. And it has a rap in it. And so if a child likes to rap, then they can relate to it and rap in the story.
So Asa, what was it like when Mom woke up and was like, hey, would you like some pancakes and read the children's book that I wrote about you overnight? I'm sure it didn't happen just that way. But when you realized that you were the main character of her story, how did that feel?
It felt good. It felt good. So like my mom woke up. So I woke up and my mom asked me, told me she had wrote a book. She wrote something, and then we told her we should write and put it in the book, write it so it could be a book. And and then she told me about it, and it felt good. I was the main character, and I want to be famous. I was in the book.
You're pretty much like a superhero in the book, because your mom had it illustrated wonderfully. So how did that go down? When you know your son is going to be the main character and you're getting it illustrated, you want to get that right. So were there drafts that went through? Did you have to approve yourself on print?
No, my mom just did all the work.
Well, I did get your advice on it, because at first, when the illustrator gave me the first illustration of him, he looked older. And so when I showed it to him, he's like, no, this looks too old. This looks like a big kid. And so I had him go back and, make him look a little younger. And I sent in a photo of the whole family, so he can get inspiration for.
And the whole family's not left out. Little
Right.
sister, she got her
Right.
time in the spotlight as well with your second book, which is
Right.
The Fearless Princess. Were you kind of bummed that brother got the first go of being in mom's book, or were you? Or I know you were supportive, but were you kind of bummed?
Yeah.
I love it. I would have been too. And that's how kind of how that happened, though, isn't it, Mom?
Yeah, because the whole time she's like, "When am I getting my book? Are you gonna write a book about me?" I'm like, "Oh goodness!" And so I debated because I got the stories that happened that one weekend. I got 3 ATAL stories that night, and so the next weekend the same thing happened. So I got a Fearless Princess story. So I guess God knew, look, I have to give her something for this little girl because she's not going to have it. So I had both the stories written out for both books. And so we debated if we should put both of them out at the same time. And so we decided, no, just start with one first and go with the first one that you got. And so that's what happened.
You know, I love so much about this story, MeKael, because one thing, you know, there are people listening to Good Things. They've had these moments of inspiration to write a short story or just make learning a little bit more fun for their family. And maybe they didn't have all of the, you know, prerequisites, so to speak, to make the thing come out into like an actual book. But you just decided, you know what? We'll just see where God takes it.
Yeah.
We'll see what happens, and started, you know, putting one step in front of the other. I love the story, though, about the illustrator, and this just goes to show your humility, but also your willingness to sort of grit your teeth and do the work, because he asked for a what? When your illustrator asked you
a storyboard.
and you were like,
what? Like, I didn't tell him that, but I was like, okay, I'll get you a storyboard. But I was like, oh my goodness, what is a storyboard? So I went to Google and I started searching, what is a storyboard? And then after I was researching, I was like, okay, I could do this. I think I could do this, because, you know, they had services where you can purchase it and they'll do it for you. And I was like, I think I could do this. And so when I put it together and sent it to him, he was like, this is professional, madam. I was like, okay. Thank you.
No, but see, I love, and how many, you know, would have sort of shrinked back or shied away from something, not feeling, you know, that they were worthy or good enough. So where does that come from, MeKael? Your just ability to say, I'm going to give it a go. I'm going to give it my, you know, a good college try and see what happens.
Yeah, you know what? I just feel like my husband always say, a man never had a chance and never took a chance. So, you know what? I'm just going to go with it. And if it doesn't work, it doesn't work. You can't say I didn't try. You won't say I didn't try. I told my sister that the other day. I said, I'm going to do all I can to help get these books into the hands of children. And I'm just going to do everything I know that I can do. And if it doesn't work, then hey, I can't say I didn't
it is
try.
working, and we're going to get to all the other good things that came your way after you released your first book, What Will a Tale Play Today? We are learning more about the Black family. Miss MeKael Black is here with her 2 children. Atal and Asia is the daughter, and Dorian, the dad, is joining us in studio as well. And you really have made this children book journey an entire family journey, MeKael, which I absolutely love. So let's fast forward. You got it illustrated. It came out. You decided we're going to go with What Will a Tale Play Today as your first release. And like most authors, you're like, great, I've completed my task. I've put it out there for the world. But what happened next is kind of mind-boggling. So to your pleasant surprise, it kind of went through the roof, right?
Yeah. The people, my friends, my family members, social media, TikTok people, Facebook people, they just supported the book. And I also, as I was writing the book, I just started researching the statistics on literacy, childhood literacy, and I just developed a passion, Rebecca, to look, it's some kids out there who do not have access to books. So I want to help get them access to books. So I just got a passion and a zeal to try to provide books to kids who don't have access to books. And so I relayed that passion to my audience, and they said, you know what, we're going to help sponsor books for these kids. And they just came through. You can
sponsor classrooms, you can sponsor
Right.
a child. I mean, it's a really
Right.
great way you've sort of set that up so someone can say, hey, I want to get these books into get into the classrooms and make it very easy. Were you surprised, though, at the response of the people who jumped on that? Because do you know how many books you have sold today, or at least passed out today?
I think it's about 600 books.
That's great.
Yeah.
And that's even less than a year. We're talking about less than a
Yeah.
year since you had your dream to come true, which you bring up this good point about literacy, especially during the summertime. We talk about all the different things that kids can do, and we fail sometimes our kids to sit them down and let them be quiet and sort of read. So I have to ask you, Attell, you have a book that's all about you. Was it easier to sit down and read with your face on the pages when your mom asked you, okay, it's reading time, or did you still sort of wrestle with her about it?
Well, it was, I had to, but I really didn't want to. So I read it, so I just wrestled with her.
That's okay. That is your kids give the most honest answers, MeKael. I absolutely love that, because it's not, and that is part where they want to sort of do and do other things. But Asia, you got your sort of spotlight too with The Fearless Princess. Did you help your mom sort of with the story or the title, or are you just the princess of the family and she just knew how to write it?
She just knew how to write it.
So what was the inspiration from, because it's kind of flip-flopped. You have Attell, and he's out there, he's all boy. He's going and jumping and playing and having a good time. And then you have your daughter, who absolutely a princess, the cutest thing ever, but you can tell that she's got, a little bit of fearlessness to her. So where was what of her personality inspired you for this book?
Well, you know what? When the words came to me for this book, I was like, this is Aisha. This is everything that she's went through. So in this book, all the events that happened to her are real life. They're inspired by real life events, from bullying, from stage fright, all that she went through. Fearful riding a bike, her big brother giving her that, the pep talk to, you could do this. It may be a big bite, but you can do it. God didn't give you the spirit of fear. And so we talk to her all the time about being fearless, about not being afraid to try new things, because if you let fear paralyze you from trying new things, how do you know if you would have conquered it, if you would have defeated it? So we are always telling her about the dark, going to the bathroom and brushing your teeth. Don't be afraid to go through there. There's nobody here but us. So it was all inspired by what we actually had to go through with her.
Do you like your pretty dress that's on the cover of your book, Asia?
Yes, ma'am.
Do you have one similar to that? Do you play dress up at home like a princess?
No, ma'am.
No? Oh, but do you ride your bike, though, fearlessly now?
Yeah.
And she did actually help me. She came up with some of the design of the character. You don't remember helping me say what to put on the front? A F or a S for Sarai, because we debated if we should put an S or F. The S for Sarai, that's her middle name, and F for Fearless. And so she decided with the F. You don't remember that?
Now I do.
It's just there's so many things going out, playing, keeping up with mom. Those are just the minor sort of details. But keeping up with all the people who have jumped on your train, MeKael, with this is a hard thing to do. So what are some of the spotlights for yourself? I know sometimes we don't like to pat ourselves on the back, but I want people listening to Good Things to hear all of the other people who recognize what you're doing with these books. So what's caught you off guard?
Okay, the NAACP, Forest County and Biloxi chapter, they both stepped up and sponsored books for students in the community. Then I had a call from a business owner, Increasing One, and she called me and she said, I want to do something for the whole family. She serviced mainly women. And she said, I want to do something for the women's children. So I want to buy your books and give them away to my customers when they purchase from my website. And I was like, what? So that company doing that, and the NAACP, and just people, just like I have just individuals sponsoring multiple books for, had an NFL player sponsor books for a class. Just people in the community just stepping up. And you know what? That's what it takes. It takes a village. I had it's a Pastor Charles Smith. He wrote a book, Seven Steps to Raising Amazing Children. And I read his book, and he talks about a village. And that's what it takes for us to go back into these communities and help our children, you know, defeat that illiteracy and close that literacy gap. Close that gap. You know, if we do it together, we can help change the communities.
I was not following you on TikTok because I'm not that cool, MeKael, but I was watching some of your videos on Instagram, and you had a great statistic about third grade and reading. What is the connection there? Something by third grade, or you tell me.
Well, there's a few. At the beginning of third grade, at the end of third grade, your children, they're no longer being taught how to read in school. When they get to fourth grade, they're going to be expected to read to learn.
And that's where I'm at. In like 3 weeks.
Yeah. So they need to be able to read to learn. And then by the end of fourth grade, if your child is struggling or not a proficient reader, then they're 2/3 likely to become a dropout, a juvenile delinquent, or on welfare, because the Department of Justice,
it's just tough. I mean, if you don't have the tools and it's moving at such a fast pace, and if you're not, you know, so if you don't have that foundation by the end of third grade, what I'm hearing you say is it's sort of like you're setting them up for an uphill, which is already an uphill climb.
Exactly.
Right? And so I think that's good information, though, for us all to hear, whether you're a parent, a grandparent, a good auntie or uncle or whatever it may be, that we've gotten to this point where we let devices do a lot.
Yes.
I am guilty. But the good old just sort of reading to and making them, or encouraging, or making, or making them read really does set them up for success, or making it easier for them to have success in school, you know, in those upper grades and beyond. You've got some good tips for parents to sort of help with the digital boundaries. How do you do it in your own home?
Yeah, you know, when he was a baby, when he was young, I was like you. I was guilty too. I would give him that device, give him the iPad. He'll be on YouTube, you know, watching kids YouTube. And so one day, and when she was born, she was just a baby. And so she wanted the phone too, so she got it.
It's crazy how early they
want the phone. And so one day we took the phone from her, and they just cried and cried. It was like, My husband was like, nope. We got to cut this out. So we went cold turkey and took the devices from them. They cried it out. They wanted it. Every time they saw us on the phone, they wanted it. So, but we had to cut it out. And so we filled that time with activities we do. We go outside and play basketball. We go walking in the neighborhood. We play tic-tac-toe. She thinks she's the tic-tac-toe queen. We read. We'll cut the TV off, and we'll just all read together. Sometimes I'll read out loud to them.
I feel like Taylor's kind of angry about that. Are you the tic-tac-toe king?
Yes, ma'am.
Oh, Asia, what do you say to that? Are you the queen or princess of tic-tac-toe?
I'm the queen.
Oh, I just love that. I love that. And I love everything that you're trying to do with illiteracy and helping families set their kids up for success in later years. And we've got more with MeKael and her family coming up next. And we're getting more behind the scenes with MeKael Black and her family. If you are watching online, you will see that I got her son, Atel, or Asa. Which one do you prefer?
Atal.
Atal, which is your nickname, and Asia, which is the fearless princess and the younger sister. So I hear, Asia, that you are racking up the points when it comes to who's reading the most this summer at home. Is that true?
Yes, ma'am.
Yeah. So what is your favorite book you've read so far?
I forgot the books what I read.
You've just read so much, you just can't even remember? That's fine, though. Have you read your own book, The Fearless Princess?
Yes, ma'am.
Are you proud of that book? Do you want all your friends to have that book?
Yes, ma'am.
Do you give that book to every friend who invites you to a birthday party? Just say yes, ma'am, you should.
Yes, ma'am.
I know I would. Okay, and I heard during the break, though, Atel, that you've read your own book to your classmates. What was that like?
That was good. They liked the book, and I wasn't embarrassed or anything.
It's a good book.
Yes, ma'am. It's a very good book.
So you're also reading books through the summer for, I hear, a little spending money. I love this idea, MeKael. What triggered this idea to incentivize reading books, which we incentivize everything else. Why not what we want out of our kids?
Yeah, and you know what? I was inspired by Dr. Miles, the late Dr. Miles Monroe. I heard him speaking, and he was saying that his older kids, he told them it was a book he wanted them to read about something about vision or something, but it was a helpful book, inspirational book. And he said, once you read this book, then I'll give you $35 or something like that. And he was like, why not pay them? You know, if it's going to help them, if it's going to better them in their life, why not?
Well, you got to meet them where they're at to sort of encourage them in the beginning, because you mentioned that wasn't something that you necessarily enjoy doing. And I know there's a lot of kids who aren't like, oh, let me just sit down and read, so that little bit of an encouragement. So what have you read this summer that you've gotten a little cash for?
Well, I read a book called No Slam Dunk, a basketball book, and it was another book. It was a Junie B. Jones book.
Oh, Junie B. Jones is a favorite in our home, too. And those are starting those chapter books. Man, you're getting on up there in the level of reading. But do you still like to get outside and do activities with your friends, which is what A Tale Will Play Today is all about? What will A Tale play today?
Yes, ma'am. I play outside, and I have a friend that comes over, and he stays a whole... he stays a long time.
And we all have those friends. And what I'm getting tickled at is Asia, out of the corner of my eye, you're just over here shaking your head like, yes, they do. They stay sort of the whole time. So, but even princesses can get out and get their hands dirty and play outside and play sports. So what do you like to do to get outside and be active?
I like to play basketball.
Ooh, are you going to be a better basketball player than your brother?
Oh, no.
This is a competitive family.
Yes, they are very competitive. That's the biggest thing they have to get onto them about.
Well, yes, and I'm not doing very good with it today. I'm sort of being the antagonist on that. But all in friendliness, it can be all sort of in fun. What's next for you, though, MeKael? I mean, you've got the 2 books. You got any more coming out soon?
Yes, I have the second book for What Will A Tale Play Today, and it's called Play Day at the Lake. So it has a little twist to a little conflict in it with his play day, but it's already been edited. It's just waiting to be illustrated. You are 2 books out. You've had all these accolades. You're moving the needle there in the Pine Belt area when it comes to just getting new books into classrooms that probably hadn't seen a new title come through in semesters, if not school years. Have you stopped to just absorb it all? The fact that you literally were just obedient to a dream one night, and then we're not even to a year out, and this is all that has happened for you. Yeah, one day I did. It was like right after the NAACP, and then that company called me. It was like a series of events that happened, and I was like, whoa, I just got overwhelmed with tears, and I just like, thank you, Lord. Thank you. I'm just going to do just be led by you and guided by you and do whatever you want me to do with these books. And when you say done, I'll be done. So it was that I have done that just to say thank you, because
Well, there's still time for people to get books for the new school year if they want to sponsor a classroom or if they want to just get a book for their family. So how is that set up? I mean, how would someone listening to Good Things say, you know what, I'm a teacher. I'm just going to go back into the classroom. I know a lot of our teachers are already back in there this week, and I'm looking for new reads. What are maybe the levels of the 2 books and who they would be great for?
And I'm glad you said that, because What Will A Tale Play Today is an accelerated reader book. So that means if the school system has that program in their school, the kids can take a test on the book and receive AR points toward their AR goal, which she is very competitive with. So that's a big plus for a lot of teachers and school librarians. But they can go to my website, MeKaelBlack.com, MeKaelBlack.com, and they can order books. Or if they would like to sponsor books, there's a tab on my website where you can click sponsor with the instructions, and you can sponsor books there. And it's also available on Amazon as well.
So go back to that score. There's some parents who may not even know that was a sort of a thing. So what grade does maybe that start? Because Asia, you're pretty young to be starting that to try to be competitive with it. So explain how that works in our school systems if we're not familiar.
Right. It usually starts in first grade and it goes up until fifth grade, right? But most of the time when they get to like fourth and fifth grade, the teachers really don't really push it. He said, Kiara, really doesn't push it.
They got a lot on their plates, buddy.
They really don't push it like they do the lower grades because they want them reading as many books, as many diverse books as possible to get their reading and comprehension up because they know third grade is coming, their state test. So they really push in the lower grades. And these books, the ATAL book is up to second grade. It's a level 1.4. So grade 1, grade 2 is fine. Same for the Fearless Princess.
Pretty cool. And you mentioned the state test, which I know is people have opinions. Whichever way you like it, it's still coming. And I had a teacher tell me one time, if you feel like you're a parent who feels you want to help but you don't know how to help or with your kids and sort of moving forward with it, to simply have them read a book or read a passage, read something that you're reading, and then just get them to explain it back to you. Sometimes I think we overcomplicate setting our kids up for success. So like if you got What Will ATAL Play Today and then your child read it, just simply ask, well, what happened? Like, do you know what was your favorite part about the book? I mean, just simple, like if you hadn't read it, can they explain it back to you enough that it makes semi-sense to you? You are setting them up
exactly
like to be, ready for, I know the third, cross my fingers, the fourth grade hadn't been there yet, but we're headed there. But that's what several reading specialists and teachers had told me, that it's just the repetitiveness of the reading and then sharing what happens.
Right.
So Asia, in the end of The Fearless Princess, you don't have to give us the end, but if you accidentally do, that's fine. But how would you describe the character? What happens to her throughout the book? We're going to test your third grade level skills. She says, I'm not in third grade yet, Mama. So what's your favorite thing that the princess does in The Fearless Princess?
Not be scared.
Not be scared. Is it hard sometimes not to be scared?
Go say it.
Sometimes.
Sometimes, that's okay. And what does her friends and family tell her in the book that she should think whenever she's feeling scared?
That God is with her.
Yes. There's a great message in that book as well, which I think both books, although one obviously is geared towards your daughter, one's obviously geared towards your son. I've got two little girls, though. Well, the oldest one has read both of them. I mean, the other one's 2. I'd like to think that she's reading, but we're not quite accelerated that far yet. But both are entertaining for them. So I don't want people to think, oh, I have a little boy, I just should lean this way, or if I have a daughter, I should lean that way. I like what you said, MeKael, about having just a diverse number of books in your library, or I guess in your home library to to give variety. That's the word I was looking for. It's
Diversity.
Diversity is the word I'm looking for. I haven't had enough coffee, obviously, today, MeKael. But we got more good things for you coming up next. Explore. And if you go on vacation, make sure you take a book with you, right? That's what we're talking about today. I have so enjoyed introducing the Black family to you. We've got the mother, MeKael Black, who has authored 2 children's books that are based on both her children. We got A Tale, which is What Will A Tale Play Today? today, and that's all about you, and The Fearless Princess, which is all about Asia. And if you are just tuning in with us, you still have the opportunity to buy some books, sponsor a classroom, but really your message is just to bridge this literacy gap for our kids. And so how can people do that? I mean, other than obviously getting their books, but how important is it to build that home library, to read to your kids, or just to really focus on literacy in general?
Right. Well, I encourage, and I'm not an expert, I'm not an educator, I'm just a mom who's passionate about this, right? So from my research, I found that reading to your child as early as possible is setting your child up for success. So I even would read in the womb while they was in the, if they're in the womb, I say read to them. You hear say sing to them or put on some classical music, read to them too. But I encourage parents to read as early as possible to your child. They're learning, they're soaking up all that. It's helping their language development, their comprehension. All this is developing at an early age. So read to them as early as possible. And as they grow, then have them read to you. Let them see you reading. Read together as a family.
I felt attacked. Personally. Personally
Yes.
attacked, MeKael.
Let them see you read and read together as a family. You said on vacation, when we went to Tampa last week, guess what they had? Books. They had to read on the way on that 10-hour drive. They had to take books and read. Put them in the car. Leave a book in the car so they can read the signs. Just make it fun, make it creative. She likes for us to read in unison, like together, read the words together. It just makes her happy.
Whatever sort of words.
Yeah.
I also, in case you're just tuning in, MeKael, I want to go back to the fact that you took all the devices away cold turkey from your family, other than I think Tell said something about an Xbox, which is fine. At least that's hand-eye coordination and doing some other things. For those that feel they're wrestling with that, but then they give in, or they get that nudge that maybe they too should be taking them away. I know there's an appropriate age for everything, but I think we can all agree that tweens and under probably don't need their own devices. And if they do, you make your own choices for your family.
Right.
But if you're feeling that tug to make the separation, I mean, what's the little bit of encouragement to stick it out? I mean, you mentioned the meltdown. Sorry, Atel in Asia. But after that, I mean, did they kind of just get used to life without it?
They did. They don't now. Every now and then he'll mention, when can I get a phone? But she doesn't mention it. Because he sees his friends. He's getting older now, and so all his friends have phones. And so he'll say, when can I get a phone? You're not ready for it yet. But I would encourage parents just to stand your ground. Realize that what you're doing is for the betterment of them, for their success. Because if you're not, look, you cannot monitor what they're doing on their phone 24/7, especially if you just give it to them and you fall asleep, take a nap. You don't know who they're chatting with. You don't know what they put in something in the search. Google may interpret it as something else and bring up an inappropriate picture. And what goes in that eye gate is stuck there, right? Unless you have to pray it out, fast it out,
Pry it out.
Yeah. So
the other piece of that, though, I learned, I mean, and if you are a parent who's listening and maybe you've had to take away the phone or that's been punishment, and even in our own home, just, good kids who, sometimes just need a little bit of reprimand, you just take, boundaries away. And I find that she draws more, she reads more, she spends more time in there with the family. Like, I kind of like the non-deviced children, and that's not just a phone. That can be the tablet. That can be, all the different things that they just sort of get into. And I'm like, I was like, oh, look, you wouldn't have drawn this if you, had
because it suppresses their creativity, right? You really can't tell how creative they are if they're always on a device. And I had a teacher comment on one of the posts saying that the tablets and the phones have overstimulated her kids. She teach students, young students. She said they've become overstimulated. It's good to be, stimulate your brain, but when you become overstimulated, you can't really keep up. Like, if I'm trying to teach you, you're like, it's boring. I need something, something else. So just think about what you're doing. Hey, I know if I just give them the device, it'll give me a free time, it'll free me up, but just know that you're doing it for the for them.
And trade it out for a book.
Yeah,
and we want you to
trade it
get
out
one
for
of
a book.
MeKael's books.
Yeah.
So, MeKael, again, round us back. Where can we find you online?
At MeKaelBlack.com, MeKaelBlack.com. Check me out, guys.
All righty. Well, bye, Asia.
Bye.
Bye, Dale.
Bye.
Bye. Well, y'all don't go anywhere. We got more coming up next. You got Sports Talk Mississippi from 3 to 6, but we'll be back on Monday. But until then, I hope you all find time for the good things.